Hi, welcome to another business video by Nan. And today's a little bit different. We're on Zoom, and I have a friend with me. His name is Andre. So say hi to Andre.
Hello.
Yeah. And I'm American, but I'm living presently in Montreal, which is Quebec. And Andre is from, you're from Ontario or?
I am, yes. Ontario.
Ontario. So it's kind of interesting because I know you quite well. You're from Ontario, but you went to a French-speaking school?
Yes, in Ontario, my primary language is French. So we went to a French school in Ontario.
So you're perfectly bilingual.
Yes, and it might be a surprise to some people, but we do speak French in Ontario too.
Just a quick question. When you're speaking with your parents, do you talk to them in English or would you talk to them in French?
I would say more French, but we call it Franglish because we have English expressions in there, and sometimes we franchise English words. So it's kind of funny.
Okay, really good. So we're so happy to have Andre with us because we're going to not only look at the difference between maybe American English and Canadian English, we're also going to look at some French, and maybe there's a difference between Canadian French. Maybe there's a difference between Quebec French. So, and Andre is going to help us with that. So, Andre, I thought first of all, just the difference between American English and Canadian English. When I first came here, maybe 15 years ago, in the United States, we're always saying this right at the end of questions, like, you're coming, right? But would you say that here in Canada?
Ooh, the big thing here in Canada is mostly, we would use you're coming, So, like, I don't even know how to write it. I think it's like H-I-N, I think. But it's a big thing here in Canada. You're coming, huh?
It's kind of nasal, huh? It's in the nose.
It is. We all have nasally voices.
Very good. And then in the United States, when I was growing up, every time we wanted to find something and we didn't know how to call that thing, give me that thing. I remember my parents teaching me like thingamajig or whatchamacallit. And then when I started living abroad, I realized that these words for thing are totally American. So what about Canadian English when you need that thing and you don't know what you call it?
We talk a lot with our hands. So I like for me, I would just point the thing and be like, "What's that?" Or I heard that you said whatchamacallit, but we would just say like, "What do you call it?" That thing over there, instead of like whatchamacallit.
Yeah, whatchamacallit is so American that I just remember a couple years ago when I was going through the shopping center to buy some chocolate. They had a chocolate bar called whatchamacallit. What a perfect name for this kind of, we didn't know what it was. We didn't know if it was a cookie or a chocolate. In any case. Now, do you have any other examples? Because your wife is kind of American?
Yeah.
Her parents are American.
Yes, yes.
So you've been married for
4.5 years now.
Okay, well, guys, congratulations to that.
Yeah.
Have there been any examples where, like she said some American word and you're like, we do not say that?
I don't know. That's like you put me on the spot there.
Maybe something in the kitchen, like would she say, give me the plate, and you would say, no, that's a dish? Or would you say, I'm going to the bathroom, that's a washroom?
Yeah. I think that is the example, actually, washroom and bathroom. Okay. I was like, because like to me, like here, even at schools, they're called bathroom, and even though there's no like, they're called washroom. But for me, it just doesn't make any sense that like, you guys would call it bathroom because there's no bath.
I know.
In the bathroom. Like for me, like they don't understand why we call it washroom, but I'm like, you always wash your hands after you go do your business, right? I think that for me, that's just what makes sense. But for American, it's everything's a bathroom, even though there's not a bath. And
I know. I mean, even in public places like the airport where it says restroom, we still say bathroom.
yeah,
Now, I noticed in Canada, there's a lot of WC on the door.
WC.
You know, like wash closet. This is WC and it's got a man, or WC and a woman.
Yes.
Does anybody say I have to go to the WC, or is it only for the door?
No, only for the door.
Okay.
Yeah, like there's no abbreviation. We just say we go to the washroom.
Okay, because I had some students saying, I'm going to the WC, and I was like, excuse me? So if you're a student and you see WC, don't say WC. You're in Canada.
Maybe I'm not cool enough.
What's that?
Maybe I'm not cool enough, so I don't use WC. But
So because you're bilingual, we're also going to tap into your French.
sure.
Now, you were talking to me beforehand. Is this French from France?
French for France.
Is this the French that you speak? Is it from France, or is there a difference between Canadian French, or is there Quebec French? I mean, how many types of French are there?
Canadian French has a lot of like English usage but we like put a French accent to English words. And then there's a difference between Canadian French and Quebec French too. So it's like really complicated because like I have my own accent. People are like, do you come from Quebec? Do you not come from Quebec? I'm like, I do not, but because they understand I have a sort of like English twisted French accents. It's kind of complicated actually.
Okay, now are there any examples? You talked about like this like franglais, it's like a French word but English accent. Do you know of any words where a student in Canada would hear a word and say, wait a minute, is that French?
That we anglicized.
Like anyways, do you use
Like,
that word?
je vais aller parquer là-bas, je vais aller parquer mon char.
En français, c'est stationner, right? In French?
Yes. So stationner would be the proper term to use.
Okay.
So we like franchise the parking word. So je vais aller parquer mon char. And mon char, the proper term would actually be voiture.
Okay. So if you were in France, we would say voiture. But here, a lot of times they use char.
Yes.
And what is a char in English?
I would translate it to car, but
it's actually a tank. It's an army tank. Yeah, you know those big Hummers that you find. So that's thank you.
I'm learning here.
Okay, so I mean, this is a business by Nan channel, so we want to give them a little bit of business words. So we have a student who's learning in Canada or learning from our channel, and they know the word for English is boss. Yes. So how would you say that in Quebec French? Or
so in Quebec French, we'd probably say mon boss.
Oh,
but,
yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, there's another example.
Mon boss. But in Canadian French, it would be mon patron.
Okay. Okay, very good. And how would you greet your boss? In North America, in the United States, we might say, how's it going? Mm-hmm. Because we're kind of informal with our boss. What would you say to your boss when you greet him in the morning?
So there's a difference, I think, between, so because I'm from Ontario, in Ontario, we would say, comment allez-vous? Because we would vous voir our superiors because it's a sign of respect. But in Quebec, I think they would just use comment vas-tu because they're a lot like Americans, which is like more informal, like you're my friend,
Okay, so comment allez-vous is like I lived in France for a year, and that was what they used. So yeah. Okay, very very good. Okay, okay, not with my boss, my friends. How do you say friends in French?
Mes amis.
Okay, and so how would you greet your friends? We might say in English, Hey friends, what's up?
We use that word a lot too. Hey, comment ça va? What's up? Qu'est-ce que tu fais?
Qu'est-ce que tu fais? So qu'est-ce que tu fais is what do you do?
We would translate it to what are you doing?
Okay. There's no present continuous, I guess not in French, huh?
No.
No. So okay, very good. And now with your girlfriend or your wife, I'm married too, and you know my husband quite well.
Yes, I do.
And I always call him, hi, honey. Hi, love. What about in French? How do you greet your loved one?
I would probably say bonjour mon amour. I use the term sometimes l'amour de ma vie, because
And what does that mean in English?
the love of my life. I use it in English too.
Wow.
Yeah, I tend to be a little cheesy, but she likes it.
Cheesy is an interesting word because I think cheesy means cheese, like you put on a pizza.
Mhm.
But cheesy in English means
I only have like the like another word, corny, which is used
corny,
together.
like not cool,
Yeah,
super sweet.
like extra cheese on top.
Exactly, extra cheese on top, which we love. Okay, when you meet a new person in French,
Yeah.
in English we would say "nice to meet you." How would we say that in French?
We the proper term would probably be ravi de t'avoir rencontré.
Ravi means like very happy, no?
Yes, yes. But if I'm here in Quebec, I would probably say c'était le fun de t'avoir rencontré.
Oh, there's your franglais again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. And most people might know thank you. And so in France, we would say merci, merci beaucoup. Is there a difference here?
No, I think that's the one that we use most often. Merci, merci beaucoup. I don't see anything else that we use here, actually.
Okay. And then finally, when you do a favor for someone, you say merci, thank you, and they say no problem. There's a difference because I've heard like I've heard no problem, like I've heard je vous en prie, I've heard de rien, I've heard pas de quoi. I mean, which one is the best one in Canada?
In Canada, I think we've used de rien. But I hear a lot in Quebec, pas de stress.
Pas de stress, which means no stress.
Yeah, which means no problem. Don't stress about it. I did it to help you out. Just like let it go, no stress,
Nice, nice. I like that one.
Yeah.
And then a couple words for our business students about work. In English, I say my job.
Mm-hmm.
In French?
So you could either use mon travail or mon boulot, but that's more of like French. Mon boulot.
Oh, boulot?
Yes.
Okay. The question, where do you work?
Où est-ce que tu travailles?
Okay.
Travailles où?
Okay, so travail, it sounds like travail is a noun and it's also a verb.
It is.
It is, okay.
Either way.
Nice, nice. How would I say I need a job?
J'ai besoin d'un travail. Je dois trouver un travail.
Excellent, okay. And finally, for those, the sentence, I'm going for an interview.
Je m'en vais faire une entrevue ou je m'en vais passer une entrevue.
Okay, so to pass an interview, and then also you said faire?
Yes.
So you would say do an interview.
Yeah.
So that could be different from their language. Do you use the word company in French?
We do, but it's compagnie. It's a hard one to like It's like ni like your throat, but
Like
it's
stuck here in my
nie.
Yeah, okay. So very different in English where the stress is on the first syllable. We say company.
Yeah.
And can you say it once more?
Ours is compagnie.
Me. Oh boy, really getting the nasal. And another word that's like a big company is called corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in French you say entreprise.
You could use entreprise, but you can also use corporation as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't. Is now that is a French word? Is that another franglais?
Might be a Frenglish, but we would understand what you would mean if you would use corporation.
And finally, there's some confused words that sometimes people have. For example, in English, the very common one was mixing up kitchen with chicken. You know,
Yes.
I'm going to the chicken. No, I'm going to the kitchen. I went to a French wedding one time, and the pastor was an English speaker, and he was talking about love, l'amour,
Yes.
but he was kind of mispronouncing it, and it sounded like la mort, which means death.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah. I mean, when you're talking about those two, you really have to pronounce them correctly. What about are there any words in Canadian French that are so close that you've heard people say, and you're like, oh.
That's a very good example, especially at a wedding. You have to choose the right one. But I mean, there are two different things completely. Two words that sound the same. If we stick with the word amour, there's armure too, which sound a lot alike if you say them really fast, especially like French people. I feel like they talk super fast. So armure, amour, sometimes if you say them really fast, armure is armor.
An armor that you put on like a soldier?
Exactly.
Okay.
Even in English, armor, amour, they kind of all sound alike. But that would be another example.
I guess you have to protect yourself when you're in love, right?
That too.
Okay, very good. Well, finally, we're just going to sign off to our friends. So how would you say goodbye in French?
Au revoir ou à la prochaine.
Wow, we're so happy to have you. So we're going to say au revoir, à la prochaine.
Bye. Bye.